Look out any window.
America, yeah, coming around to save the mother day. All right, that was a good recording test, and away we go.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome back to episode 73 of the Snarp Fangle Podcast. I'm your host, Jake Metzger, and today I have someone here who's a patriot to his core, a man who loves freedom, America, and Amerifreedom. He also thinks that Pearl Harbor sucks just a little more than he missed the audience this week. Ladies and gentlemen, David Reed. How you doing, David?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
I'm here,
You're here?
living in the greatest timeline with the greatest president of all time in the greatest country
of all
on earth. Oh, man.
And here
Good
we
stuff.
are. It is. I'm glad to live in this country. I don't know if I would call myself a patriot. Maybe I would. I love the country. I love it so much. It makes me want to cry. But anyway, for comments, concerns, thoughts, and hate mail, and what other films that remind you of the red, white, and blue, send them on over to snarpfanglepod@gmail.com. Or you can just text Jake. All right, David, here we are once again, past another 4th of July celebration in the wonderful country of America in the sadistic fascist state of California. But we are here regardless, thankfully. And we're here to talk about 2 films this week. And for those uninitiated, this is the Snarp Fangle Podcast, and we do a series where we called 2 films. And it's where we combine 2 separate films together to a coherent theme. And this week's theme is the 2 patriotic films. So, David, would you mind regaling the audience of what our options are this week?
So our films that we are doing today are, let's see, Team America World Police and the amazing Mel Gibson feature, The Patriot.
All right. Yeah. Now I'm going to ask you, David, because I have a certain list of how I want to go here, but I'm going to let you decide. You pick which one you want to do first. Remember, the first film you pick is probably what the audience is going to listen to the most. And, as some of the audiences, go about their day and forget to listen to the rest, then they won't miss the latter half. So what are we starting off with? We have 2 pretty great films here.
I mean,
they're both great for different reasons.
It's a toss-up. I mean...
Yeah. I have Patriot listed first, by the way.
Yeah, you can... Then let's do that, then.
All right, let's do Patriot. All right, so here we go. The Patriot. 1776, South Carolina. A farmer and war veteran of the French Indian War, along with his 7 children, reluctantly find themselves battling a British invasion in the desperate fight for independence. Directed by Roland Emmerich. Written by Robert Rodat, who wrote Saving Private Ryan. Starring Mel Gibson, Heath Ledger, Jason Isaacs, Joel Lee Richardson, Chris Cooper, and Tom Flippin Wilkinson. With a budget of $110 million and a box office of $215. With a runtime of 2 hours and 55 minutes, which is the extended edition we watched, and released in the year 2000. David, what are our thoughts on The Patriot? But before we get into it, tell me the first time you watched it, and what did you think of as an adult? Because you had an interesting... last time you saw this was in high school, I think you told me.
Yeah, I believe... So I watched it as a kid. I watched it in high school, I think it was English class or something. And then I didn't watch it again for a very, very long time. And now that I am a ripe old man of 35, I have come back to the films of my youth. I don't know where that came from. But yeah, now that we've decided to watch it, I got to revisit the film as an adult, and I was impressed. I mean, it's kind of a running theme for both of these films, but one of my thoughts when I was one of the big thoughts I was having when I was watching it is like, man, they just don't make movies like this anymore, you know?
Yeah, dude, absolutely. I remember this is a yearly watch for me and the fam. We always watch it around 4th of July, Memorial Day, something like that. And let me tell you, every time it's a great film, right? But this last time, because we watched it over 4th of July, me and the fam, and I'll tell you what, and you and me watched it the other day there as well. So I've seen it 2 times in like the matter of a weekend, basically. And what I got to say is, like, there's a moment in basically the end of this film where the music is swelling. John Williams did the music, by the way. And our main character is going up the hill with the American flag and he's waving it. And it's like, holy crap. Like, and it's just beautiful, beautiful scene. And we'll get into it for sure. But this time, I've never cried at this movie ever in my life. Even with all the death, destruction, or in the sad moments there are. This moment with him waving the flag, for some reason, it could have been the music and the speakers, I don't know. But this moment, this time viewing it for me, I cried. Like a tear went down my eye. Like I always get goosebumps at that scene, but it was goosebumps and, eyes leaking fluid. It was very sad. Or no, very, very moving, I should say. And it got me. It hit me right there. So, and it's just a beautiful film. And I don't know. I love this film unabashedly. It's so good. Again, you're right. They don't make movies like this anymore. They don't. And I think one of the reasons is, I think, it's called The Patriot. It's about the war for independence here in the U.S., where we beat the pants off the British. Good riddance. We don't like you guys. I mean, we do, I guess, but like's a strong term, I'm joking. I have some people who are friends who are from Britain, and they're probably listening, being like, what are you talking about? My home country that way? What do you mean? Look, beans and toast, I could do without. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, beans and toast and tyrannical government are neither of those things are my cup of tea.
Nah, I see what you did there. That's pretty good. But yeah, I remember looking over to you when we were watching it just the other day, and I was like, is he gonna cry? Like, I know, David, you weren't gonna cry, but I was looking over because you got really quiet. Like we were both losing it when we were watching Team America, which we watched before this, but when we were watching The Patriot, we started making jokes, but then it pretty much got shut off within the first 10, 15 minutes. We were like kind of just in it at that point. So what are your expound more? Like what things do you like about this film, David? What makes it unlike any other?
So for one, you've got the acting of Mel Gibson, which Mel Gibson is a great actor. It's a shame that he has to be blacklisted by Hollywood, but it is what it is. But he is legitimately a great actor, able to display a range of emotions in this film and just make it feel real. Like it's never too much or too little. It's always just the right amount that for each scene and each moment that makes you really feel for him as he's going through, the various things he goes through in this film. Another thing I really enjoy is just the characters, the music, the writing is really good as well.
I would say the pacing also, even though it's almost 3-hour film, the pacing is pretty good. Like it's at a very consistent pace and it keeps it the whole time. I don't think there's ever a huge dull moment. Like the quiet parts are impactful when they are there.
Yeah, it doesn't feel too long by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah. Yeah, going on Mel Gibson's acting in this, it's fantastic, obviously. And I was watching, I didn't finish it, but I started Conspiracy Theory, which I think released the year before this or the same year. It was a Richard Donner film and Mel Gibson and Julia Roberts. And it was like kind of like his character from Lethal Weapon a little bit toned down, Like, he's not a crazy cop guy. He's just a conspiracy theorist who's like way out there, like the Alex Jones of his day, basically. And a cab driver who's like sends out a newsletter about, conspiracy theories, and then the man finally tracks him down, basically. And it's a really entertaining film, really great, really good film. I only seen half of it, but the first half was really great. But even his acting in that, it's fantastic. He plays like this person who's like this crazy conspiracy theorist character is perfect for Mel Gibson because of the other roles we've seen of him, obviously. But to see him in that, Lethal Weapon, obviously, Braveheart, and this is his character in this is, I think, very different compared to all of those, actually, I would say. And he really stands out, especially in the emotional scenes. Like, I think you and me were talking about it earlier. You explained to me he doesn't, you phrased it well. You said he doesn't go overboard with the emotionality. He hits the right bar in the scenes he needs to. So, but yeah. Let's see, where do we want to go with this? We have Mel Gibson. I want to talk about Roland Emmerich for a second. The guy who did Independence Day, as well as, I'm trying to think what else he did in the 90s that was super notable. He did Stargate, that was it. Independence Day and Stargate. Like, this guy was on a roll in the 90s. And like capping it off with this movie, like before he went a little crazy and super like global warming nut. Like, his film right after this was The Day After Tomorrow, which I love. Like, I grew up with that movie. It's very nostalgic for me. I love Day After Tomorrow. It's just very much like global warming, and then the world freezes over, and it's like, holy shit, I can't believe this. Very much a propaganda film in that aspect, but it's regardless a very good film. At least I think so. And with this, I don't know. This might be his best film. I love Stargate. I love Independence Day. Like, Independence Day is just fantastic. But I think this is my favorite that he's done. I don't care about 2012 or Moonfall or whatever crap he's doing nowadays, but I think as a director and what he was able to accomplish in this film, it's pretty dang good.
Yeah, I would have to say, comparing this to Independence Day, because I think that's probably his most prominent film. Comparing this and Independence Day, as much as I enjoy Independence Day, I would have to say this beats it out, mostly because of, having Mel Gibson and not having Will Smith.
Oh, well, I will say, though, apparently Freddie Prinze Jr. was in the running to play Gabriel in this movie.
Interesting.
Yeah. There's a lot of kids, or a lot of young men who are in the role, in the running, but yeah, Freddie Prinze Jr., old Mr. Scooby-Doo himself,
Indeed.
But yeah, I think this is Roland Emmerich's, I think it's his best work. Like, it's really freaking good, and he does a really great job, and also, it's hard to shoot, like it's hard to, how do I phrase this correctly? I almost said it's hard to shoot kids, but sometimes it's like, you want to shoot them, No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
But I would say it's hard to film with children in the film. Like, it's from everything I've heard. Like, it's very difficult, very time consuming. Speaking of Richard Donner, like, he did The Goonies, obviously. And that was, a very tough toll on him. And, it's hard to manage all that. But when done correctly, it's done. And those kids, like, lock in. It's done really well. And I say all the child actors in this also do fantastic.
Yeah, that's really impressive, too. Because there's a lot of young children in this movie.
Yeah.
And it's a very serious and grim and dark movie. So I can imagine trying to elicit properly somber or emotional performances from them was probably like pulling teeth. But yeah, they did a great job.
Yeah. And it's funny because you have, obviously, Heath Ledger. You have the third oldest son who is in Jurassic Park 3, is what I remember him in. As well as Logan Lerman is in this, who's Percy Jackson, as well as a couple other roles out there. And I was very surprised. I was like, every year I forget this. I'm like, holy crap, that little boy with the dark hair, that's Logan Lerman. He was like a baby when this movie was done. But anyway, it's cool to see that. And yeah, all the kid performances are great. The pace is great. The editing's really good. Like it's and you can tell it's good because it's not noticeable. Like it's really like it just goes and it's really great. So, and of course, David, John Williams, the music,
Oh yeah, the music is fantastic.
dude, bro, oh my God, America. Like that's what this soundtrack is, America. Like maybe the Armageddon soundtrack also, but this soundtrack, America, you know. But I'm trying to think. I don't think this was a Jerry Bruckheimer joint at all, or Spielberg produced. No, I think it's just strictly Mel Gibson, Roland, and all the other folks. So anyway, where do we want to go with this from here? What I will say is, in terms of Mel Gibson's performance, his performance. Have you ever seen Shenandoah, David, with Jimmy Stewart?
No, I haven't.
It's a really interesting Western about this rancher guy in the South. And basically it's about him kind of losing his family as the film goes on. And it's a Western. And the part where where Benjamin Martin, the character Mel Gibson plays, is mourning over his sons in this film. Those moments remind me a lot of Shenandoah because there's a specific scene in Shenandoah where Jimmy Stewart, and this is old Jimmy Stewart, by the way, later in his career, where he loses part of his family. And he goes up to this Union soldier into the Civil War and he like grabs him and he like wrestles him to the ground and he's looking straight in his eyes and you see just Jimmy Stewart's face and he's like basically like talking to that guy and giving it to him like, how dare you do this? I've lost all this and who do you think you are? And he's just a kid. The Union soldier's just a kid and he's like scared out of his mind, obviously. But Jimmy Stewart, like his performance in that, like the whole film, he's very, very steady and strong and doesn't showcase a great amount of emotion. But that one scene is where he breaks and it's really great to see. I saw that a little bit in this. At least that's what it reminded me of in terms of Mel Gibson's performance.
One thing I would like to talk about is the antagonist of the film.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say, I don't remember his character's name or the name of the actor.
Tavington is the character name of the movie?
It's like Tavington or Tavistock or
Tavington.
Something like that.
Jason Isaacs is who you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the actor. I can never remember his name.
Yeah.
But he's a great actor. And in this movie specifically, he does a fantastic job of just making you hate him.
Dude, so good. Oh, man.
Like just the cold indifference that he portrays while committing atrocious acts is pretty great. And then so when, spoiler alert, in the end when he finally gets run through by Mr. Martin, it's a pretty awesome moment.
Yeah, it's very satisfying. Like, it's very well earned, too. I was reading in the trivia that apparently Kevin Spacey was their first choice for that role. Which would have been interesting. Like, he was in Seven, I think, at that point, and, of course, Usual Suspects.
I feel like Kevin Spacey could have also pulled that off, but I'm glad that they went with this guy.
I feel like Jason Isaacs he's kind of like a snake in this. Like, he's always, like, slithering around and it's just very oily looking.
And
guy.
One thing about him too is he's very British. He's very
true. That is
very
true.
very British, which I think works well for his character.
Yeah. What do you think of Tom Wilkinson, the General Cornwallis?
Oh, great. Excellent. Yeah, as soon as I saw him I was like, man, it's that guy. another dude whose name I don't know. But yeah, I love his acting.
Yeah.
He's
one of those British actors where you see and I'm like, oh, it's that British actor. Like, oh yeah, that guy from Pirates of the Caribbean. Or Doctor Who or whatever,
Yeah. And again, he is another one who's very, very, very British.
Very.
And he sells the whole like aristocratic military commander role very, very well.
Yeah.
And he serves as a good foil to Tavington or whatever, the main antagonist, because he's technically over Tavington.
Mm.
And so you have him, they're both on the same side, but he's trying to fight the war with old world sort of gentlemanly ideals, and Tavington just wants to murder and brutalize the colonists. And so there's this great tension between the two as Tavington tries to do his dirty work and Cornwallis tries to, rein him back, rein him in.
Yeah. You know what? Now that we're talking about those two characters, it reminds me of two things. Number one, I feel like Tavington or Wilkinson or whoever these two generals are, I feel like at one point in the script writing process, they might have been one person. Like, oh, he's also the head of, like, it could be Cornwallis is the main bad guy, right? Oh, and he killed his family. Oh, that's terrible. But to have Tavington in here makes it much stronger and lets you, like, have him do more because Cornwallis is the main general and everything.
Yeah, I don't know how they would have
I don't know.
pulled that off because Cornwallis is an actual historical character.
Yeah. And Tavington, I think, I was reading he's based on, like, the combination of two generals, apparently. Or something like that.
Because Cornwallis is actually, in reality, the guy in charge of the British Army in the during the Colonial War. So this lower level officer, Tavington, who's probably not based on anyone real, kind of serves as a good vehicle for more creative villainous outlets.
He's very well utilized. That's definitely sure.
Because I feel like if you're playing a historical character in a movie like this, you can't get too crazy with your villain stuff,
Yeah.
Because there would have been a certain way, because the way in which Cornwallis is trying to fight the war is the kind of thing that a British officer of aristocratic origins would have done in the actual war itself. And so being that he's like, the head honcho of the British forces in colonial America, like, he has kind of a huge responsibility to bear in terms of he wouldn't have the freedom to go off the rails and do some really nasty villainous shit,
Yeah.
So they needed a second character.
Yeah.
They needed a second character to make an antagonist that you could really hate, that you just really hate and be really awful, so that when he finally got what was coming to him, it was like, yeah.
And the second thing I was going to say is, I think that dynamic kind of reminds me a little bit of, if you read history and you read the history of the U.S. and you read about the Civil War specifically, Grant and Sherman on the Union side didn't really it was never mentioned that it was this kind of dynamic, because Sherman was he was brutal. Like, he went and murdered people, pillaged, raped the South. Like, it was horrible. And he's one of the reasons, of course, the Union won. But Grant was more of a gentlemanly type of, well, I wouldn't say gentlemanly type, but he was more civilized. Like, he wasn't a straight up villain. Like, I would consider Sherman a villain. Like, the stuff he did was horrid and terrible in the Civil War. But Grant was also a great general and a good leader. He eventually also became the president later on. That's a different story. But I would love to see that kind of dynamic applied to a movie of the Civil War, because we have different documentaries and some movies and TV shows based on that. A lot of TV shows specifically based on the Civil War. I would like the Patriot, but Civil War. That would be really cool. And it's also not going to be as satisfying, because the ending of the war is not satisfying at all. It's very sad, very somber. And like, most of the South is, well, specifically with everything Sherman touched, he decimated, basically. But to think about, I don't know. It makes me wonder. Of what it could, what's it called? An adaptation of that would be. someone's interpretation of the Civil War based on the historical parts that we get in the Patriot applied to a Civil War film, that would be awesome. I would watch it. And I don't think Sherman ever got arrested or thrown away. Like he was free walking after all that, I believe. I think he died young, but he died, I think, not too long after, but he was a bad man, like just bad, you know. And what's even worse about that, I love studying history and reading up on that, but what's terrible about Sherman and why Tabington reminds me of him is because he went on his like Sherman's, I can't remember what it's called. It's right after the war ended, but he went on the campaign, like whatever his campaign was toward the end of the Civil War, where I can't remember what it's called, but it was basically like a 7-day march with him and his army. And they basically pillaged and as they went along town by town.
Are you talking about the March to the Sea?
I believe so. Yes. And it's really interesting to look up about that and how it was basically like Civil War was already over at that point, but he disregarded the letters and just kept going anyway. And it was sad too, because you also have the but these are real life people that existed. But Robert E. Lee, of course, who was a very good man, gentlemanly person, who wanted to have peace, but he had to do his duty for the South. But anyway, that's a whole side topic. But the Patriot just reminds me of that. I'm like, man, what about the Civil War? Like, could have Roland Emmerich and maybe not Mel Gibson, but somebody else do a sequel, because they do motion some of that in this movie. And that's another topic I kind of want to dive into here, kind of segueing into it. If you just type in The Patriot, Mel Gibson, you're going to read article after article after article about how this movie is racist, how it's like a terrible interpretation of the colonial war, and all this other crap that's like basically like political, and because everybody hates Mel Gibson and he's an outcast and everything. And of course, you have some of the stuff in this movie that deals with slavery, and there's a lot of people that say, especially when we get into the trivia, I'll explain it too, but there's people in here that say, this wasn't a great portrayal of slavery and how it really was back then, and blah, blah, blah. And it's a lot of noise, is what I'll say. But go out and watch this film, because it's fantastic. Like, it's honestly one of those films we were talking about, David, that are, you had the straight ass movies, you had the half ass movies, and then you have the just good at, like, what did we say? Good ass movies. Yeah, this is a straight good ass. This is a good ass movie, like a certified hood classic, a banger, however you want to describe it. This is great, fantastic movie. So let's see, where do you want to go from here, David? Heath Ledger's really good in this.
Yeah.
He's really good.
He does the whole young guy chomping at the bit, disregarding the wisdom of his father kind of thing. He does that very well in this movie. Yeah. He comes across as very earnest and very sincere. And Heath Ledger was another great actor, just who could make you feel the emotions his character was supposed to be conveying.
Yeah, I love also the like dynamic between him and Mel Gibson, Benjamin Martin, whatever. But I love it because they're both really good actors, and the father and son dynamic is really cool. Like, you have the aspect of him and Gabriel at the same time in this movie. He's going through and he's melting the little lead soldiers from his other son that passed away toward the beginning of the film. And that whole aspect is so cool. Like, that's one aspect I would say that this film has that they don't make movies like this anymore. Like, they really don't. A little aspect that like that is, a family connection, but it carries through the whole film, and it serves a purpose, and it serves a greater purpose in terms of the fight for independence. And it's just really cool, man. It's just, I love it. It's so cool. Like, it's such a great thing to just remind you about the tragedy. And I mean, every time you see him do it, he's melting the soldier, he's putting it in the lead cast, and then he's got bullets now. It's fascinating. I love that aspect of it. But yeah, the chemistry between Heath Ledger and Mel Gibson, really great. They sell it well. Good acting all around. Very emotional too. And dude, speaking of chemistry, the Heath Ledger's character and I think it's Lisa Brenner is his like wife in the film or his girlfriend or whatever. They also have great chemistry. I was like, dang, like this, they seem like they're real people and they like each other, you know, that kind of thing. But speaking of that, David, Heath Ledger went on to play the Joker. When he smiles with those ink-soaked teeth, and his teeth are pure black, and he gives that big old grand smile. Did he remind you of the Joker at that point?
I don't know. I don't know if that reminded me of the Joker so much. But I mean, it's Heath Ledger. It's Heath Ledger. So, I mean, like, how can I not be reminded of the Joker when it comes to watching movies with Heath Ledger in them? Because, you know, it's like kind of his most iconic role, I would say. And, you know, it literally killed him too. So
yeah.
It's hard not to be reminded of that character when you watch a movie with him in it.
Mm-hmm. You ever seen Knight's Tale?
Yes, I have.
That's another
many times.
That's a good movie too. It's a very strange film about, well, there's a lot of Queen in that movie for some reason. A lot of Queen music.
Yeah, a lot of that movie to me was like Heath Ledger was great in it, but it's like that movie teeters like right on the edge of unbearably cringe.
Agreed. Like it's like you're watching. Like I remember, I think my mom and dad went to go see it in theaters, and they were watching. They're like, "What the heck is this? This is so weird." But then as the movie progressed, they're like, "This is actually pretty good." Like for some, you're either into it or you're not. And like even the training montage in that movie, the Lowrider, not Lowrider, but that one song's playing like, oh yeah, Lowrider, Lowrider. And as they're training him, it's like this in a medieval movie. This is weird, but it somehow works.
Yeah, some of the things were really, really strange too, in that like you have like, I think it was a jousting scene where they play "We Will Rock You" by Queen.
Yeah, and they're all like
the crowd is like,
yep.
Like in sync, as if the song was somehow playing in the world of the movie. It's like, what?
That was, I hate to say it. Well, I don't hate to say it, but I will say that was my introduction to that song and some other Queen songs as well, for sure. Because I think it was like, let's see, it came out in 2004. We probably got it on DVD in 2005. I was like 8, 7, something like that. So that was my introduction to Queen, basically. It was A Knight's Tale. Queen's great. David hates Queen, like with a passion.
Yeah. Worst band ever. A Freddie Mercury guy, overrated.
You sound like me when we were first talking about that song, and I got outcasted from the group, basically.
Well, you said Bohemian Rhapsody was overrated.
Yep.
Like, there's a difference between saying something is not your personal favorite and saying something is overrated.
I know, and I don't want to get into it again, but what I will say is I've kind of walked back that a little bit. Like, I consider it, okay, yes, it could be a masterpiece, but it's definitely not my thing. Like, people say, oh man, The Godfather is the greatest movie of all time. I've yet to see it. I will see it eventually. But what if I didn't like it? Like, I'm not going to be like Peter in Family Guy and say, it was, what did he say in Family Guy?
It insists upon itself.
It insists upon itself. And that was like almost my reasoning for Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm like, this song, I just don't like it. It's like a masterpiece, but it's extremely overplayed. Like extremely. And everybody knows it. And they don't want to admit it. They just say, oh, this is a good song. And they enjoy it for what it is. And I can't.
I wouldn't say it's overplayed.
Oh, 100%. Every baseball game you go to, they basically play it.
Yeah, and I welcome its appearance at every single time.
Like, All right, I'm not going to get into it anymore.
Also, when is it played at baseball games?
I've seen videos of people like whole crowds, like during halftime or whatever, they'll sing it along to it. And basically the whole crowd is singing along to Bohemian Rhapsody.
Baseball games?
Baseball games! Yeah, during like a break in the like 5th inning or whatever. Yeah, I'm legit, dude. You can just type in Bohemian Rhapsody, crowd sings to it. And you can find videos like that. So, but I guess when you type in something that specific, you're bound to find something like that. So it's the internet.
Well, I mean, I would hate to say that that's a case of a song being overplayed, because
it's everywhere.
No. All that is simply the last gasp of the cultural construct known as communal public singing in Western culture.
Okay, what does that have to do with it being overrated or not overrated?
Like people singing a well-known pop song at a baseball game is a cultural touch, is a cultural thing hanging on for dear life. It has nothing to do with it. Like, it could be Bohemian Rhapsody. It could be, Free Fallin' by Tom Petty. It could be.
It could have been.
It could have been whatever other sing-alongable song. It's just that you happen to see a lot of. Apparently, I've never seen a single one, but apparently you managed to see all of the instances of it being Bohemian Rhapsody.
Well, it's like it's played all the time everywhere. Like you'll say, oh, you can go to on Spotify, top 100 songs of all time. It's definitely there.
Yeah,
and it gets played constantly.
It's there for a reason.
Agreed. It's a great song, but it's overplayed.
It's not overplayed.
It's 100. Well, what about We Built This City? Overplayed?
We Built This City is objectively one of the stupidest songs ever written.
Yeah. What about it's about whataboutisms now, but what's that song? Don't Stop Believing by Journey. That's 100% overplayed.
No.
Yes, it is. Oh my God.
Don't Stop Believing isn't even my favorite song. Like, Don't Stop Believing is kind of like, I'm kind of like meh on it.
How about Faithfully?
Which one is that one?
Oh, sugar. I can't sing it to you right now, but
it's not overplayed enough because I can't think of it.
Okay, yeah, it's not that. Yeah.
But yeah, Don't Stop Believing is not my personal favorite. I'm like meh on it.
Shout out to Richard.
We want to talk about
what
Journey
is
songs,
David?
Journey songs that are actually great.
Okay.
You're talking about no, the one. No,
what is it?
The one that's
that one. Separate Ways.
Separate Ways.
Yes,
that's
a banger.
That one's legitimately great. But as far as Don't Stop Believing goes, it's not my personal favorite. But I wouldn't consider it overplayed either.
What is a song that's overplayed, David?
Overplayed.
Definitely any Taylor Swift song. We'll say that.
Yeah, I would say a lot of pop songs are overplayed simply because they don't earn it like legitimately great classic songs.
Yeah, they don't earn it. Yeah, I would admit Bohemian Rhapsody earns its stay. It's sung by one of the greatest singers of all time, obviously. Let's be real. However, why not other Queen songs? Fat Bottom Girls, come on. No, I'm joking.
I feel like Queen in general has a pretty good stable of well-played hits. Yeah. Like, it's not just Bohemian Rhapsody. It's also We Will Rock You, as evidenced by, medieval peasants doing the, boom, boom, clap thing.
Boom, clap thing. What are you, Nigerian? Like, boom, boom, clap. Anyway, well, that segues us back into the Patriot, because without the War for Independence, the Queen wouldn't exist. Let's be real. Well, you're welcome, Britain. Because we won a war 300 years prior, you get Freddie Mercury, so God bless you. Last thing. Speaking of music, John Williams. Great soundtrack, fantastic. Something I noticed, at least it reminded me of this, but during the scene where the kids are running away from the house in Aunt Charlotte's mansion on the plantation, the whole soundtrack the entire time reminded me of I would say Revenge of the Sith and The Last Crusade, like some of the more somber moments in that soundtrack, definitely remind me of that scene. Or this scene reminded me of those movies for sure.
Interesting.
You could hear it. Like, and definitely a lot of John Williams stuff you can hear kind of repeating, not motifs or anything, but the style. You can recognize his style for sure. So I would say that. And also his soundtrack it hits really well. And it also takes a step back as well, which is really nice. But it comes in at just the right moments.
Yeah, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's not trying to like upstage the actors or anything like that, which a good soundtrack does that. Good soundtrack gets out of the way when it needs to.
Yeah. And I know we've talked about all the major actors in this, but all the side characters are also played, by very very talented actors, I would say, because not a single one of them is forgettable. Like you have the preacher, you have Mel Gibson's friend, you have the slave guy, you have his friend. Like I don't remember their names, so I guess they're not very memorable, but they make their presence known, but they're not like overbearing at all.
Yeah, I would say they're all interesting, and they all add to the story in their own unique way. There's none of them that feel like this character didn't need to be here. They all seem to find a place and a purpose in the story of the film.
Yeah. Speaking of place and moments in the film, there's so many tender moments in this film, David. Especially when that little cracker girl ran to her cracker father on that island of former slaves. Tell me what you thought of that scene and what you were regaling to me as preaching epithets at me as this scene is happening. The tender moment of Susan finally speaking and running to Benjamin Martin, her daddy. And oh man, there shouldn't be a dry eye in the audience, but David is just going full ethnic mode, I guess you would say. I don't know how to say it.
I was
not racist at all.
I was making some pretty off-color jokes during this part of the film, which is neither here nor there.
Yeah, we just got done watching Team America right before this, so we were in the mood. We're like, let's do it.
But I will say that this scene, despite all the off-color remarks, was still enjoyable. It was still a tender, emotional scene. It was a good character development moment, too, for the both of them.
Yeah.
Because you had a similar goodbye earlier in the film before she could speak, the little girl, but it just was kind of like an awkward goodbye. Neither one of them could really... I guess just in that moment couldn't be real with one another, I guess. But then, so then to sort of see that going from her expressing that she hates her father and then running away from him the next time she sees him to this tearful goodbye where they're both hugging each other. It's a nice little character arc.
Yeah, nice little arc there. And especially later on when he loses his other son and you see him, obviously struggle with that, obviously completely broken apart. Not only has he lost his wife in this, the story we were told, but one of his sons and then the second son. And it was... Again, you got to give Mel Gibson his flowers. Like, he did very, very well in this film. I'm trying to think of a film he's done really bad in. Like, even Chicken Run's really good in terms of performance.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen a bad performance from him.
Yeah.
He, there's maybe some movies
later
where he,
on I haven't seen.
Where he, phoned it in.
Yeah.
There's
a little
bit.
Some later 2010s or 2000s action films I think he was in. Or he's the main character or something I never got to see. So,
but maybe there's some movies where he's less than his best, or he kind of phoned it in a little bit. Which
I haven't seen with Lethal Weapon 4,
which can happen from time to time with an actor as prolific as Mel Gibson. But I would say I would say I haven't seen an outright bad performance from him.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, it does make me excited for the resurrection of Christ. Like, the more I hear about that film, the more I get excited about it. Like, whew.
Passion to Electric Boogaloo.
The tale of, let's see, the tale of how Jesus came back and drank some wine with his disciples with holes in his hands. There's a lot that can come from that story. You know, a lot of miracles that were mentioned in the Bible. They say there's so many miracles we can't even include it in this text, I think, right? It's somewhere in Luke or I think Matthew that says that, right? Something like that.
I
know
think
it's John.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's at the end of John.
Yeah.
It talks about him doing many, many miracles that would just, if there wouldn't be enough books in all the world to write about all the things that he did.
And also it's going to be far more than that. And you guys can look that up if you're interested. But as long as it doesn't have Bohemian Rhapsody in it, I'll be okay. So
watch it. That's the main theme of the film.
The main theme of the film. The Stones rolled away. Mama. it's Pilot. I killed a man.
Well, see what it would do is...
But it would be all in Arabic, Dave.
No, what it would do is it would separate the song into its constituent sections.
Oh, and play it throughout the film.
And different parts of the film would have only that section.
Oh, okay.
So the more somber moments would have, Mama, just kill the man. And then some of the, the moments where Jesus is like grappling with, like in the garden.
Oh, yeah.
That would be the Mamma Mia, Mamma Mia, Mamma Mia, let me go. Beelzebub. That would be
the keys from death, like
that would be that part, and then the stone is rolled away. All
right, let's get into the trivia. All right, so we got some long trivia here. Also, disclaimer: this is IMDb trivia. Take it with a grain of salt. It's not always super accurate. I go through and proofread this stuff, but let me tell you, there was some things in there. I'm like, you just wrote this in here because you wanted to be included on Wikipedia and reference there. That's the only reason you're here. Get out of here. All right, IMDb trivia. Here we go. Number 1. When teaching Mel Gibson and Heath Ledger how to shoot the rifles, technical advisor Mark Baker gave them the advice to aim small, miss small, meaning that if you aim at a man and miss, you miss the man. While if you aim at a button on the man and you miss, you still hit the man. Gibson liked this advice so much, he incorporated it into the movie just prior to the ambush scene. That's pretty interesting. So they just took it from the dude who was teaching them and all that. One of the armorers or whatever. Pretty cool. All right, continuing on. Heath Ledger said researching the American Revolutionary War for the film answered his question of why Americans wave their flag so high, and in quotes, it's because they went to hell and back to build their country. Cool. The scene where the Martin family looks on as the battlefield encroaches on their backyard was initially cut from the script. The filmmakers only shot it because they got ahead of schedule. I think that's interesting. It's like they took it out, but they did like it. So they're like, well, let's just shoot it. Pretty cool. Number 4, Robert wrote 17 drafts of the script before there was an acceptable one. God bless him. Let's see, what else do we have here? The costume department created over 1,200 military outfits for the film.
Dang.
That's crazy. As well as the historical accuracy of the costumes and settings was overseen by the Smithsonian Institution, and it's the first time the Smithsonian had ever worked directly with the production of a movie. Huh.
Well, good for them.
Yeah. All right, continuing on. Harrison Ford declined the role after being offered, feeling the script had boiled the Revolutionary War down to a one man's revenge melodrama. Gonna have to disagree with you, Harrison, and I'm glad you didn't get it, because I think Mel Gibson he's far better suited for this role. I love Harrison Ford, but I feel like Mel Gibson is like the better choice.
Yeah, Harrison Ford, I don't think would have been able to just have the kind of like
The rawness.
raw emotional acting that Mel Gibson does in this movie, and is honestly a big part of why I like it so much.
Yeah. Continuing on, the studio wanted to cut a certain shot of the cannonball scene to avoid an R rating, but Roland Emmerich felt it was important not to sanitize war. So basically that part where like, boom, it's either the decapitation or the guy getting his leg blown off they wanted to cut it, but he's like, no, we're not going to do it. So it's pretty cool. Like I mentioned before, Kevin Spacey was the first choice to play Tavington. However, after paying Mel Gibson $25 million for the film, there was not enough in the budget to pay Spacey. That's interesting. That's a big check for Gibson, but dang. Although he just got off of Braveheart before this.
Yeah.
So
I would say he kind of earned that paycheck.
Earned it. And he brought it with this film too.
Oh, yeah.
Dude. All right, number 10. 3 actors in this film went on to act in 3 separate Batman adaptations. Donald Logue, I don't know who that is in Gotham. Tom Wilkinson.
I know who that is, but I'm
Donald
can't think
Logue.
of it right here.
Donald Logue. L-O-G.
I know how to spell it.
You got it? Okay. Tom Wilkinson was, of course, in Batman Begins. And, of course, Heath Ledger was in The Dark Knight.
Oh, yeah. It's that guy.
Who?
It's the guy
The Preacher?
No, Donald Logue is the guy who was given the slave soldier a hard time. And then
that
they
guy,
were like brothers at the end of the movie, basically.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah.
I wonder who he played. I think he might be Bruce's father. He might be one of the Waynes in that, but I don't really care about Gotham.
In Batman?
The Gotham. He was in Gotham.
Oh, I
The
never
show.
watched that.
Yeah. Shout out to you, Adelaide. I remember walking in the room several times and you were recording it on the DVR. And that show never was any good. It was not very good. Some of the writing with young Bruce Wayne is kind of interesting with Alfred, but other than that, and the guy who played Penguin in that, I will say that the dude who played the Penguin in Gotham, he's fantastic. He was great in that role. But other than that, it was a very forgettable show. All right, continuing on. Heath Ledger ended up not working for a year, but prior to this, because he only received offers for teen heartthrob films. At this point, he was about to quit acting for a fear of being typecast and return to Australia. But then he was cast in The Patriot.
Wow.
It's interesting. All right, continuing on. The producers of the critically acclaimed animated series, Avatar: The Last Airbender, used Tavington as inspiration for the villainous character Admiral Zhao. Casting director Marilyn Dacey was asked to find someone like Jason Isaacs to voice the part, but she promptly asked Isaacs if he was interested, and Isaacs accepted the part. I didn't know that.
Wow, interesting.
I did not know Jason Isaacs was in that. That's cool.
That is kind of a cool little detail.
Yeah. It just goes to show. Great villain. Great actor. All right. Continuing on. According to Roland Emmerich, the scene where Cornwallis thanks Benjamin for taking care of the dogs was difficult to film because, and this is interesting, because of all the natural light from the windows. He made sure there were no windows behind Mel Gibson to simplify things while filming. Continuing after this, as for the scenes where windows are visible, the camera needed to be stooped down, and the interior lighting had to be ramped up to approximately 3 times the normal setting to compensate for the exterior light.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it basically, it goes on here, but basically they had to like really figure out, like, there's so much natural light coming in that they had to amplify the inside light because of the way shadows work, because of the way blocking works in film. It's very interesting, and that's a very simple scene, like you'd think. It's just 2 characters talking. But because of the natural light and the amount of it outside and the building that they're in, it's interesting. Like, it's stuff you don't think about. So, cool. All right. During pre-production, the producers debated on whether Benjamin Martin would own slaves. And this is the controversial thing I was telling you about. Ultimately deciding not to make him a slave owner. This decision received criticism from Spike Lee, of all people, who in a letter to the Hollywood Reporter accused the film's portrayal of slavery as being in quotes, a complete whitewashing of history. Lee wrote that after he and his wife went to see the film, In quotes, he says, "We both came out of the film fuming. 3 hours, the Patriot dodged around, skirted about, or completely ignored slavery." Mel Gibson himself remarked, "I think I would have made him a slaveholder, not to seem like a cop-out." So, yeah, there's people out there like, they didn't portray slavery correctly in this film. And it's like,
slavery was just not the focus of the film.
Yeah, it's not the focus of the film.
And also,
it's the colonial war.
Also, too, the idea that Benjamin Barton had freed black men who were working willingly on his farm serves as kind of one of the early character moments that sort of helps build the villainous identity of Tavington.
Yeah.
Because as he's riding into the plantation, he sees the 2 black people there, and he assumes they're slaves, so he tells them that all slaves who fight for the crown will receive their freedom. And their reply is, of course, "But we're not slaves, we're freedmen." And his response is, "Well then, you're freedmen with the opportunity to fight for the crown, then, aren't you?" The idea that his offer of freedom to these black people was only to further his own agenda. And as soon as that wasn't a draw for them to join the cause, he jumped straight to threatening to forcibly conscript them.
Yeah, I agree. And also, look, I get it's the South. I also get that there's a lot of people own slaves. It's a very common thing. But it also was like, it's not also uncommon to also find people who don't have slaves. Like sometimes slaves are expensive, or sometimes, hey, I'm going to go hire some hands because I don't have the money to buy slaves. I just need hands for, this season or whatever. So he's going to go hire, and maybe they just happen to be black. I don't know. Go figure.
Yeah,
and also there's a lot of times where farmers would, you get room and board and food, obviously, if you come and work for the season. Like there's that too.
Yeah.
It's a farm.
It's just one of those things where it had to be shown in some sense because it was set in the colonial South.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it wasn't a focal point of the film. So it didn't dance around anything.
Yeah.
It showed it enough for world building purposes, and it focused on the things that actually mattered in the film.
Yeah. Good. Don't put it past Spike Lee to cause controversy and a big stink about random things. That's for sure. All right, so last 2 here. One of the redcoats, or the dummies, I would say, floating in the river after the trap is a dummy of John Travolta that they used in the film.
Oh boy.
Yeah, exactly. Last one. Jason Isaacs claimed that right before filming Gabriel's death scene, he and Mel Gibson were laughing off camera at jokes Mel Gibson was telling him while they were waiting to be on camera. After filming the grieving scene, Gibson just resumed to tell Jason Isaacs jokes.
Yeah,
That's pretty great. Yeah.
Acting.
Exactly. When he ran off frame in that last slow-mo bit. Oh, speaking of which, I totally forgot to mention. What did we think of the slow-mo bits in this film? Like, there's definitely, like, true, regular slow-mo footage in this film. But there's a couple moments, and I don't know if it's necessarily a flaw. I think it's just, they just had to do what they had to do. But there's a couple moments where it's regular footage, just slowed down, but it's choppy a little bit. Like, did you notice that while watching it?
I didn't notice it specifically.
Like after he killed the guy and massacred the dude and his children watched at the beginning, like the ambush, it's like, it doesn't go in slow-mo. It's like him like realizing what he's done, and then whoop, and then it's like choppy slow-mo.
Yeah.
There's a couple moments like that, but they're brief.
It didn't jump out to me necessarily, but I honestly think it was probably intentional in that moment.
Okay.
Because, it's probably supposed to, like, Because, like, normal slow-mo, like, actual slow-mo, like, legit slow-mo, where it's smooth, is it's supposed to, like, so you can take in every single microsecond of this, like, of this thing that happens within the span of, like, 1 or 2 seconds, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, regular slow-mo is so that you, the viewer, can really take in all the details of what in actuality would have just happened in the blink of an eye. But in this particular scene where he's like just, you know, letting out his fury, or well, he's spent after letting out his fury, and he's just kind of like kneeling there in the mud, all soaked in blood, and his children are just kind of watching him slack-jawed. Like, I think the choppy slow-mo is supposed to make it feel kind of disorienting and surreal.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could see that, especially after that part, because the whole thing where the ghost story comes from.
Yeah.
It's the guy seeing him, and then it's choppy, and then he's just gone. So it's like, it's definitely intentional, come to think of it. But I don't know. Every time I watch it, I'm like, oh, they just didn't have a slow-mo camera for that scene, so they just slowed it down. All right, whatever.
I don't feel like that would have I don't feel like that would have been the case.
Okay. I was just curious. I don't think I've ever mentioned it to anybody. I was just curious what you thought of it. So
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it is kind of an interesting little thing. It's not, yeah, honestly, it didn't jump out to me as being particularly
like lazy or anything. It's just
it just like the scene didn't jump out to me in terms of like, oh, that slow-mo's different. It's choppier than all the other slow-mo. Like that wasn't a thing that was going on in my mind, you know?
Yeah. Man, this movie's got everything. It's got like rivalry. It's got wonderful technical prowess. Also, the CGI that is used in the film is very well done, and it's not noticeable. Like, especially in the beginning when they're going to Charlestown, like, or whatever that city is in the beginning. The ships are straight up CGI, but it looks really good. Like, pretty dang good for the time.
Yeah.
So, great movie. Highly recommend it. If you've had, this is like one of those films I would say, it's like one of those you just got to see before you die. Like, you have to see this film at some point. It's very powerful. Even if you're not an American, even if you're outside of the US, it's a very powerful, emotional tale that has a villain, it has the villains, it has a family unit, it has the father. It's got all that. So it's really good. Fantastic. Any other words for Patriot? Nothing about him and the wife's sister at all? Nothing like that?
So, yeah,
there are some times where I'm like, dude, she's like opening the door wide open to you, like, man, I wish I had a husband. And then she looks at him, he's like,
yeah, sexual tension, crazy in this,
crazy film. In this movie.
But yeah, I guess it kind of makes sense because it's like,
yeah, it makes sense.
You know, it makes sense given the scenario, but yeah,
where the kids are and the relationship with them and the aunt, you know.
But it is a little funny.
It's funny, yeah. Okay, moving on, David. The big one. Well, I don't know. These are both really huge movies, I would say, in their own aspects. Huge. Just absolutely massive, huge movies. Made me laugh. Wonderful movie. Not Patriot. There's some funny bits, though, in that. But let's talk, David, about the whole reason we decided to do this podcast. Because you showed me a song from this film. And I was like, that's amazing. That's awesome. And you're like, yeah, we should watch that. And I was like, well, I mean, why don't we just do 2 films and pick something else? And you're like, yeah, why not? And this was it.
Indeed.
The second patriotic film that we are picking, that we've watched, that we've consumed, that we've devoured is Team America World Police.
Oh, yeah.
Legendary actor Gary Johnston is recruited by the anti-terrorism task force known as Team America, as an unabashedly pro-American group with a task to bring world peace, no matter how many countries get destroyed in the process. Directed by Trey Parker. Written by Trey Parker, Matt Stone, and Pam Brady. Starring Trey Parker, Matt Stone, Kristen Miller, Masasa Moyo, Darren Norris, and Phil Hendry. Also, you have Maurice LaMarche and Fred Tortoiscare. And you also have a budget of $32 million, box office of $50 million. With a runtime of an hour, 38 minutes, released in 2004. David, what are our thoughts on Team America World Police?
This is one of those films that, it came out when I was like a freshman in high school. And so I don't think I've ever sit down and watched the whole thing before, but I've seen enough of it, heard enough of the quotes that, I felt like I really pretty much knew this movie inside and out. Or at least at the time I did. All through my teenage years and my adult years. So, like, I didn't really think much more about it other than, occasionally going, America,
Yep. I mean, you could say it, I'll bleep it out. But,
but
we try to keep it PG-13 over here at Snarp Fangle. Maybe.
Yeah. Sort of, kind of. But anyway, so I never really thought about it much beyond simply referencing it every now and again because it was, a cultural thing when I was growing up. And then it was just kind of free on YouTube, and I was just like, whatever. I think this was on the 5th of July.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was like, if I'm going to watch this, like, I guess this is the perfect time to watch this. I didn't have anything else to do at that point in time. Or was it the 5th? I don't remember what it was
Saturday.
now.
That was Saturday.
I don't remember what it was now. Maybe it was honestly, now I have no idea when it was. It was some point.
Was it the 3rd? The Thursday before?
Maybe it was the Thursday before.
Okay.
It was some point around the 4th of July.
Okay.
So that's why I was just like, screw it, I'll put it on.
Yeah, why not? It's free on YouTube.
Yeah, so I watched it and I was just like, my jaw kind of hit the floor after I was done with this movie. I was like, is this really the same movie that I, had seen all those times growing up and all that?
So this was your first time watching it that one day?
All the way through in one day.
Okay.
I'd seen enough of it, like pieces of it, where I felt like I had a pretty good understanding of it.
Yeah.
And I didn't really think too much about it, kind of a thing. But then on watching it as an adult all the way through, I was just like, I was awestruck. I was like, man, this movie is like so well made. Like, I can't believe how well made this movie is. And so I was like, Jake, we have to watch this.
And watched it we did. Oh, did we watch it? Let me tell you. Yeah, I remember hearing about this film growing up. I remember, I think Angie had the DVD. I think her and her friend came over one time and she watched it. Angie's the eldest. And so they went into her room and watched on her little CRTV or whatever. And that's as far as I know. They would watch that and like maybe Daredevil or, I don't know, Harry Potter. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But I know this was in her collection because I remember going through her DVDs one time and I found this and I was like, it's rated R, so I can't watch it. But you know what? What an interesting concept. Marionette puppets with as an action film. Well, this could be interesting. And then that was the last I ever really bothered with it. Maybe I would see a clip here or there throughout the years, maybe on Twitter. That'd be it. But I don't hear anybody ever talking about this film. I never heard anybody review it. I think you're the only one that maybe have mentioned it once in my whole life, David. And then we watched it. And I gotta say, I would concur. I would agree. And I would say it's a very well-made film. Like, technically speaking, like directionally, like with the action. I would even say the writing is funny and great. It knows exactly what it wants to be and it nails it every joke. There's never a dull moment in this film. It never overstays its welcome. And it's just freaking hilarious. Like, holy crap. And I am not a South Park person at all. Like, I've never seen a full episode. I've seen clips here and there. I've seen some of the video games, and that's about it. And, I know what you're getting into with South Park. Like, it's there. It's always been there. And, just like The Simpsons, it somehow has never ended. But here we are. And Trey Parker and Matt Stone, I remember watching the beginning of the Book of Mormon. Great opening song. Fantastic opening song in a musical. And it's hilarious because it's making fun of that. And in this film, they straight up just make fun of all of Hollywood. They make fun of America. They make fun of the globalization, the militarization, all that stuff. But it's just, the humor just connects every time for me in this movie. Like, the best part, dude, was when, and just for you guys who's listening, basically, for those who aren't aware, this is a film that is about marionettes doing all this action stuff, basically. And it's the film I just described, but they're marionettes.
Yeah, it's all marionettes and miniatures.
And it's hilarious.
And it's a big budget action film.
And it's rated R, and it's amazing. And it's like, it's got, sex, drugs, violence, all this stuff, but marionettes, like, I think I had something down here where it goes over the rating. Oh yeah, the MPA gave this rating an R rating accompanied with a specific explanation for graphic, crude, and sexual humor, violent images, and strong language, all involving puppets. Like, I don't know where to even begin with this movie. Like, I don't know. Where do you want to start, David? Like, where do you want to go?
Let's see.
Like, you were blown away, and then you and me watched it the other day. So this is your second time watching it.
Yeah. I would say that just the, where do you even start? Like, everything is just done so well. Like, I think the first thing that really struck me about it was the cinematography.
Yes.
Like, the camera work is so good.
Unabashedly good, dude. Like, has no right being this good.
The cinematography, the editing, the pacing, just so well made. Just so well done.
And you never think it would be.
And like, I mean, most of the voices are obviously Trey Parker and Matt Stone doing their South Park thing that they do.
Yeah.
And you'd think that might be a detriment to this film, but it's not. It somehow works.
It exemplifies all aspects of this film. Like, it's hilarious.
But yeah, even though most of the voices are Trey and Matt just doing their South Park thing, I have to say even the voice acting is well done in its own right.
Yeah.
And for what they were going for, it is well done voice acting.
Yeah.
And then the music.
Oh, dude.
Oh my God, the music. Like, the soundtrack is just like,
it's like Armageddon, dude.
Yeah, it's like the kind of like stirring, emotional, like blockbuster Hollywood soundtrack that you might expect in like an Indiana Jones film or something.
Yeah.
But it's all puppets.
Yep.
And it's really comical too, because it's overbearing. Like, this is a part where the soundtrack is like trying to upstage the acting, but it does so in a very specific way that just like heightens the absurdity of each moment.
Yeah.
It's so good. And then so you have the film score, and then you have the songs in the film, which are all performed by, I think, either Trey Parker or Matt Stone, one of them.
I don't think so. It was actually a guy named, I have his name down here, Mark Scheiman.
Are you sure about that?
He composed the songs in the score, but then Harry Gregson Wilson came and did the score again. I guess he's the writer of the songs, with Matt Trey maybe, or Matt Stone.
Well, okay, I should say that.
So I guess he wrote them. I'm not sure if he performed them or not.
I would say that it's either Trey Parker or Matt Stone.
It's one.
Performs all the lead vocals on the songs.
Yeah.
And like you can,
great,
like
so good.
Like if you've watched South Park, you can tell.
Yeah,
you can tell it's them too, because like the freedom isn't free, it's supposed to be like a country song, is the exact same voice used in the Ladder to Heaven South Park episode where Alan Jackson comes and
really
does a wait, was it Alan Jackson who did the memorial song about the two
9/11?
towers?
Yeah, that's Alan Jackson.
Yeah. So he comes in and that's the plot of the episode is their friend has died and these boys are trying to build a ladder to heaven because they want to get, because their friend had their game console.
Oh.
And they want to get it back. And the news picks up on this and is completely misinterprets it. And it's it's this heartfelt story of these boys, just in their naive innocence are trying to build a stairway to reach their lost friend in heaven. So it attracts a lot of attention in the episode, and it finally attracts the attention of Alan Jackson, who comes in and does a redone version of his 9/11 song, but all about building a ladder to heaven.
All right.
And yeah, so it's I can't remember which one it is, either Trey Parker or Matt Stone doing their impersonation of Alan Jackson in the episode. And then the Freedom Isn't Free song in this film is the exact same voice.
So it's so good. Dude, that scene specifically, it's near the beginning of the film. But holy crap, we were watching this film this is amazing. And then that scene hit, and that cemented for me. This is one of the greatest films of all time because that scene is just Gary contemplating his life. Does he want to do this for his country? Does he want to give up acting and act for his country? And while he's thinking these things, the song's playing. It's supposed to be generic country song, thinking about America, freedom isn't free. And then they're putting the marionette in real life locations. The Washington Monument, Lincoln statue, downtown DC. They're going everywhere with this marionette. And they do the same thing later in the film, but in LA. And even the marionette's riding a motorcycle, but the road's actually the road and it's huge. And it's what? This is amazing. I have not laughed like that in a long time. There were tears streaming down my face because I was laughing so hard. Oh my God, it's so perfect too. Jeez. So everything you'd expect them to make fun of marionettes with, they make fun of in this film. It's wow. I don't even remember what, at first I thought this was going to be a G.I. Joe parody. No, this is a parody on an old show from the 60s called Thunderbirds. That was straight up just a marionette show and that was voiced over and everything. And it was it came about where Matt and Trey were watching reruns of that one night and they're what if we do an action movie with marionettes? Wouldn't that be crazy? And the studio said, yeah. And so they did it. So it's what? I love this film so much. It's so hilarious, extremely inappropriate, but it's so funny. I've never been a South Park fan, and I don't think this isn't going to get me to watch a South Park at all, but you know what? I would give it a shot just because of this movie. For sure. I know what I'm getting into with South Park, but even if you're not a South Park fan, this film's hilarious. Oh my God.
Yeah, I would say that you don't have to be a South Park fan specifically to watch this. Yeah. Obviously, if you're not a fan of really crude and crass humor, then explicit, it's not for you. Yeah. But if you can deal with the crude, gross out humor, then this is the film for you.
Yeah. Let's see. We have that scene. The opening of the film, it's hilarious because the opening shot is of a marionette in front of a painted background, and then it zooms out, and it's actually marionettes controlling that marionette, and it's supposed to be filmed like a live action film. That's what this whole movie is. And then you get your action sequence, and then you go to Broadway, David, and you get the parody of Rent. This was 2004, by the way. You get the parody of Rent called Lease, and the song is called Everybody Has AIDS. remember Angie singing that whenever like we'd watch the trailer for Rent or something, because that trailer for the movie Rent was a pretty good trailer, but that's all we could see of it, honestly, when I was a kid, because you wouldn't want your kid watching that kind of stuff. But then she would come out and say, "Everybody's got AIDS," and we're like, "What are you doing? What are you talking about?" She's like, "Oh, it's the parody." I'm like, "What?" And now I finally connected it in my brain. I know what that's from.
funny.
It's from this movie.
That's so funny.
And it's just everybody's got it's great.
It's such a catchy song,
Yeah,
too.
it's super catchy. Even the country song, I was like, this is, and even the Michael Bay song, I'm like, this is legit great. Like, this is so much like a legit good song, but just with these insane lyrics. Oh, man. Oh, God. Where do we even go from here? The practical effects, David. Holy crap.
Oh, yeah.
Like the explosions, the debris, the flooding scene in Panama with the puppets just drowning. Like, and dude, I didn't know this. In the trivia, it's mentioned that there are like marijuana plants in the background of that scene for greenery. Like that's what they use for greenery is marijuana plants.
Interesting.
And then like there's like quarters in different shots, batteries, like throughout the film, like an actual shoe is used for some kind of thing on the set. Like it's all really cool. Like it's all well made and the sets are hilarious. Like, and it's just, I can't believe the lengths they went to make this film.
Yeah, the level of detail they go to with the miniature sets is mind-boggling. There's one scene where, I think it's after Kim Jong-il sings his lonely song.
Lonely.
Yeah, where it like zooms out and it's his palace in North Korea, and then it zooms out even more and it's all these like villages and buildings and stuff on hillsides and flags and there's torches lit, and it's like, holy crap, somebody built all of this for just the like a couple seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, couple seconds of screen time.
Yeah, it's like we're gonna go and spend several weeks, months maybe, making this stuff. And,
like it's not even like the palace and certain other things in the North Korea are reused later in the film, but this wide shot of like the palace in the background of all this stuff is literally only in the movie for like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And I can't even imagine the amount of effort it would have taken to build all that.
Also, you have the planes and the model planes they use, as well as the vehicles, like the whole chase scene toward the first half of the movie where Gary is disguised as a terrorist, you know?
Yeah.
And then they're on this chase scene and, all this other stuff. But it's like all the model cars and everything. And of course, David, the cats, the panthers. And
oh, yeah.
Holy crap, dude. Like, I didn't think this movie could utilize the puppets any better than this. They're like, oh no, Kim Jong-il's got panthers. And it's black cats that come out of the woodwork and they have the sound effects of growling jaguars. They're like, watch out, they're going to tear us apart.
And it's like the close-up, it's like all these close-up shots of like
the cats.
The cats like opening their mouth and then you hear this like jaguar roar.
Roar.
And like the synchronization is so great.
So great, dude.
It's like,
oh man. And then like, I'm trying to think like all that stuff, the technicality on display is fantastic. And I'm glad you brought up the cinematography because that's what kind of, I was on Twitter last week and somebody brought up an interview that Bill Pope, who's the cinematographer for this, said on this film. He said, this was the hardest film I ever had to do, ever. Like this was the most difficult like task I ever had to do was Team America because of the small, the size of everything. Like he wanted to use anamorphic lenses, but he couldn't because they couldn't focus enough that close up to the models. So he had to figure something else out. It's like, holy crap, this dude did The Matrix. He did Spider-Man, the whole Raimi trilogy. Like this guy's a legend. And he said this was the hardest film he had to do. That's so cool, dude. Like the technicality on display and the talent behind the camera is very impressive. Like, and even the writing, like I'm not a South Park guy, but this film is freaking hilarious. Like they know what they're doing. And that's one thing I love about, like when a film tries to aim and shoots for something, if it nails it, like even if not a lot of people can jive with that kind of thing, if the movie nails it, I'm a big fan of that. Like I love it when a film does that, or in any kind of piece of media. Like, hey, it set out to do this thing, and it accomplishes it with flying colors, and that's what basically the epitome of this film is. They went out and said, "What if we make an action movie but with marionettes?" That's exactly what they accomplished with this film, and it's great. And what did you think of the whole acting thing, David? Like the Hollywood actors getting like just siding with Kim Jong-il of all people.
Oh yeah, that was,
and the whole aspect of them making fun of Hollywood and how gullible actors are and how they're famous but they don't know anything. Like you wouldn't go and like you're gonna ask them about national security and all this stuff, but they don't know anything about that. Like, what did you think of that whole aspect?
I thought that was very well done. It was also kind of almost prophetic in kind of a way too, because it was like it was done in an era when celebrities like, sermonizing about world events that they don't really have a good understanding of.
Yeah.
Was just a common thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like this film just utterly skewers Hollywood for doing that.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't see the general public really kind of finally actually say we're enough of this until years later when COVID happened.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of crazy, like thinking that back in 2004, like this film was perfectly nailing just the sentiments that would arise after the COVID pandemic,
Yeah. Like I've heard many people say, hey, you don't want to bet against Matt and Trey because they know what they're doing. And well, with this movie, they absolutely did. Like, holy crap. And also all the hilarity of all the actors, and Fred Tatasciore, who plays like Hulk and a bunch of different Marvel characters and anime projects, plays Samuel Jackson, and he nails the MFer. Like he does. And of course, Matt Damon. It's mentioned later in the trivia that apparently Matt Damon and George Clooney were big proponents of Matt and Trey getting into Hollywood and getting their deals because they believed in them. And they said if they weren't included in this movie, they would like been very disappointed. So they were very glad they were included in this movie.
Well, that's cool.
And like apparently, we'll get into it later, but like Matt Damon, like. Like, was it not Susan is it Susan Sarandon who's like tied up at the end?
Yeah.
And he's like, it's so convincing. She's acting. It's like, damn it. Joseph tries to kill him.
Yeah. I love that. Your talent is fading with age, or whatever he says. And she just like breaks character.
She breaks, yeah. Like it makes fun of everybody, and it's hilarious. They go to Egypt to catch terrorists, and it's just the most offensive thing you'll ever see for Middle Eastern folks.
Oh
it's
yeah,
like you can't help but laugh at it. Like, and of course Kim Jong-il, the main villain, and the Trey plays him, and it's just the most racist thing ever. But it's hilarious. Like all the L's are R's, and it's so like. It's very much 1940s, 50s interpretation of an Asian person, It's pretty great.
Well, I mean, I feel like too, it's kind of like a South Park thing because South Park has a very stereotypical like Asian character.
Well, they do it for all the races, basically.
Yeah.
Nobody's left
out.
Nobody's left out.
Yeah.
Which is honestly the best way to do comedy. Like, nobody should be left out. Make fun of everyone,
Yeah, I remember doing a little bit of research for this. Like after we watched it and before we're recording now. And I was just like, how was this film received back in the day? Because I remember it being a big cultural thing growing up, but like I don't remember if people actually thought it was a good film or not. And turns out the reviews were actually kind of mixed.
Interesting.
Which was very strange to me because all the negative reviews were all about, it's like it's like a teenager got drunk and decided to be, have his hand at being real edgy. He's going to make fun of both sides and like totally condescending
Yeah.
to what this film's trying to achieve. And I'm just like, how much of a pretentious asshole can you get?
Yeah, it's funny because you'd also expect, like, this was 2004. You'd expect, like, George Bush to be in this or something like that, but he's not.
Yeah, that was another thing. I remember reading an interview where people were asking Trey Parker about that. And he's like, well, if you want to hear somebody making fun of George Bush, all you got to do is walk 10 feet. Because this was the era.
Yeah, this was the era, yeah.
This was the era.
Yeah.
And so he went on to say something to the effect of like, I want to do things that other people aren't doing, kind of a thing. So he's like, he felt all the George Bush jokes were just way too played out, and he wanted to go for something a little fresher.
I could see a lot of people who would have seen this film expect that and be kind of especially in the Hollywood circle, be disappointed by that because that was the punching bag in 2004, basically.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a very easy, it's very easy to get into that, and so it's cool that Matt and Trey didn't go in that direction. It also doesn't age this film very much as well.
Exactly.
Like you have the lease thing, and of course the actors that of the time, but it's timeless.
Yeah, this film has aged very well.
Yeah.
So that was a good decision not to go for George Bush jokes, which is kind of funny too. It's almost it almost parallels our modern era where it seems like all these comedians, these late night talk shows, all they can do is, make fun of Trump.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay,
he's popular.
Do something else.
Let's do it. Let's just do it that because that makes us money, gets attention, all that
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah, it's like if you want to actually be a real comedian, you got to find your own path.
Yeah.
You can't just join the pile-on.
Exactly.
Like,
and that's an interesting discussion because this film reminded me a lot of Tropic Thunder and just the absurdity of it and the hilarity of it all and just all these different elements that combine to be how did you phrase it? The absurdity and all these elements accentuate the humor more or bring it amplify the humor.
Yeah.
And so it reminds me a lot of Tropic Thunder in that way where dude, they have Michael Moore outside protesting. He's like, yeah, I'm protesting. And then he's like a suicide bomber that blows up their base. And it's perfect because kind of like we mentioned with Spike Lee in our Patriot discussion, these people are full of it. Like they think they're the moral justification in the world and they have every right to say how we should live our lives. And that's what this movie makes fun of. And it's perfect. It's just beautiful. And even Tropic Thunder makes fun of that in some certain areas too. And it shows just how absurd Hollywood is in that aspect. So
yeah.
But again, I can't say that this film is made terribly. It's made very well. Like with a budget of 32 million and the fact that we're just going to go to real locations to film some of these montages is such a great choice. Like even the whole aircraft fight scene was just done in front of like a poster board with a drape over it with like, and everybody's on strings and wires and stuff. Like it's so well made. Like I can't believe it. Like this is unlike anything I've ever seen, really. So
yeah, it's one of those movies. It's just like, they don't make stuff like this anymore.
No, yeah.
There's like all the time and all the budget in modern movies seems to go to things other than like putting actual real work into something like animation or building miniatures or doing marionettes.
Yeah.
It reminds me of stop motion films. Like those aren't a thing anymore.
Yeah.
Just other than
one company is Leica. That's about it.
Kubo, I think, was the only stop motion film I can think of in recent memory that
made a difference.
That was like actually semi big.
Yeah.
But other than that, in mainstream movies, stop motion is basically a dead art.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a shame because like the amount of effort it takes to do stop motion well is incredible. And it's a very, very like the effect the effect of a well done stop motion film is something that you can't get other than by doing it the hard way.
Yeah.
And it seems like for the most part, modern movies just don't want to do it, like modern mainstream movies just don't want to do it the hard way anymore.
And I think there's a good point to be made where just because there's only practical effects, like I hear that a lot. I remember when the Star Wars sequel trilogy was coming out in 2015, everybody's like, oh my God, they're going to use some practical effects. Or when The Mandalorian was coming out, oh my God, they're going to film like the models and the ships like the old way or whatever and enhance it with maybe a little bit of CGI. But I think it's a good, there's different ways you can do it. And we've seen it done with practical only for, basically the last century. And of course, only CGI. But even marrying those two, you can get a lot out of. Like, even especially in this film, like, there's definitely CGI in there. And it's used well,
Yeah.
Like, as long as you use the tools you're given well and use them for what they need to be used for, then you're on the right path, just a sad, not sad, just an interesting tidbit. They came out with another Wallace and Gromit film on Netflix last year, and they got that film done in like a year and a half, which is really interesting because a stop motion film usually takes years, right? But they've got it down to a science where they have multiple animators filming multiple scenes with stop motion. So you'll have like 48 animators getting about a couple seconds done a day. So like roughly almost a minute of footage done a day. And you do that for like months and months at a time, you pretty much have the film done, and then you got to do posts and everything else and voice acting. So it's like there's a science to it that's so nailed down at this point that it's been mastered. And so like, why not have Leica or Aardman or whoever, or even Trey and Matt Parker do something like that again?
Yeah, that's the thing I'd like to see is like
Trey and Matt Parker. Trey and Matt.
Yeah, that's the thing I'd like to see is like someone like Hollywood take a chance on a film that doesn't do things the easy way. Because I'm not saying CGI is bad. I'm not saying movies have to have all practical effects or anything like that. But clearly, big budget Hollywood movies do what's most expedient for like just time and budget constraints.
Yeah.
They don't go out of their way to do things the hard way that gets better results because the results they get are good enough for what they're going for.
Yeah, and also there's also the aspect of films like this as well as Tropic Thunder and even to a certain extent The Patriot wouldn't be made today because everything has to be sanitized, watered down, focus tested so that people will like something or that, like, for example, the new Superman film that's coming out, they took out a scene because there's a villain that kicks the dog Crypto. And they decided to take it out, and it was mentioned in an interview, and now it's a big story. Saying, oh, how dare, I can't believe they took that out because it's focus tested or whatever. But it's a result of the studio being like, hey, you know what? That could cause a risk to our film, and we don't want to risk we don't want to risk anything. We're already risking this, putting it on James Gunn or whatever. So we're going to make sure it's safe or whatnot.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, keep stuff like that in there. Like especially if it's for it, like if it works, but, I guess we won't see stuff like this at all going forward, unfortunately. Maybe in rare instances.
Yeah, maybe where it would have to be kind of a thing where like the stars align.
Yeah.
And like
the right writer,
the right director, and the right financier.
Yep. Studio
come together for like one fleeting moment to produce something great. But yeah, that's definitely not going to be like standard practice.
Well, it kind of is done already that way in standard practice. Like you'll see a random logo on the beginning of a film, like 87 studios or whatever, right? But you won't see it on any other film unless it's like a sequel to that film. because it's like the director of this, the writer of this, the producers over here, and the executive producers over here got all their talent and studio people together that are all different every time, or maybe a crew from here, a crew from there, to do this specific film. So they make an LLC off a random name or a name like that to make a film, and that's how the film industry is made today. Like, imagine the people from Naughty Dog and the people from BioWare and the people from Santa Monica Studios make a new PlayStation game, but it's under a new studio. But they do that every game. That's how Hollywood is done today.
Yeah, that's the thing is, but you won't see something coming like, you won't see something ambitious or different coming from like something like, say, Disney.
No, definitely not.
Like you'll see like, yeah, I'm not saying there's no good films today.
No,
I'm just saying it's
but
all
these films,
nowadays good films seemingly are made just like, you know, the right people get together for the right time.
Yeah.
And that's about that. And which, you know, it's great when it happens, but it's also, it's kind of
rare.
It's kind of rare, and it's a little limiting.
Yeah.
It's a little limiting.
Yeah.
So I would like to see, you know, like a mammoth company like Disney finance something that's, you know, a little different one of these days. But
yeah,
is it going to happen? Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. I think I would also like to see Matt and Trey. They've done Marionettes. They've done other films as well, live action. They've also done video games. They did The Stick of Truth and a few other South Park games as well.
Yeah.
As well as ones before that, but that's really where they've hit their stride. And of course, you have the show. I would love them to do something else, like take that South Park verisimilitude and bring it to a different, like Leica, like make a movie, a comedy where it's stop motion, or partner up with another studio and do something like that. Or I guess they're just so focused on, and they're enjoying doing South Park that they're just going to keep doing that until basically they die, basically. Or the studio shuts them all down.
Yeah, that was the thing, too, is this movie had like a deadline that it had to hit. And people were speculating that it was like, oh, they're trying to get it out before the elections. But then I think it was Trey Parker said in an interview, it was like, no, just we got it out by this time because by October 20th, we have to be back to making South Park.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, because the new seasons would be in the fall. That's right. I forgot about that. So, well, anyway, let's get to the trivia. And the trivia is long, so I apologize in advance, but here we go. Again, IMDb trivia, take it with a grain of salt, but here we go. A lot of good stuff in here. Number one, the idea for the film came when Matt Stone and Trey Parker were watching television and came across rerun episodes of Thunderbirds, which Parker had never seen. Instantly intrigued, the two decided a marionette action film would be the perfect way to send up all those Jerry Bruckheimer films, is what they said. All right. Despite almost getting an NC-17 rating in the United States, the film was promoted as a kids and family movie in several European countries.
Oh my God. Holy crap.
That's terrible. Okay. Continuing on. When the camera first shows us the palace in North Korea, several of the smaller buildings are actually Chinese food takeout boxes and paper umbrellas commonly associated with alcoholic beverages.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. Originally, Matt Damon, who Trey Parker and Matt Stone have admitted is really a pretty cool guy, in quotes, was going to be portrayed as intelligent and articulate. But when they saw the puppet, they noted that it made him look retarded and decided to portray him as such. All right, continuing on. George Clooney was a driving force in getting Matt Stone and Trey Parker's South Park to air. He also appeared in the show and the subsequent movie. As to their puppetry portrayal in this film of him, both he and Matt Damon are quoted as saying that they would have been offended if they weren't in the movie. Number 6, all the background foliage in the Panama sequence is cannabis plants. So good. Number 7, Paramount immediately greenlighted the film the idea of making a puppet movie in the mistaken belief that it would be cheaper than a live action film. So good. And speaking of which, the very first footage screened for Paramount executives was of a poorly crafted puppet in front of a background of a badly drawn Eiffel Tower, reminiscent of the beginning of the film, prompting one of the executives in the audience to yell, "Oh God, they effed us!" This was a prank pulled by the directors, and the shot then pulls back to reveal the highly refined marionette manipulating the inferior one and then flying over Paris like in the beginning of the film. That's awesome. All right, number 9. Initially, Trey Parker and Matt Stone flirted with the idea of incorporating puppets of George W. Bush and John Kerry, but ultimately decided that the politics would get in the way of their comedic story. Good call. All right, number 10. Bill Pope agreed to be the movie's director of photography because he was looking for something completely different, in quotes, from his previous 3 films, The Matrix Reloaded, Matrix Revolutions, and Spider-Man 2, all of which contain large portions of films filmed in front of blue and green screens. And continuing on, Bill Pope had planned on shooting the film with anamorphic lenses in order to replicate the classic action film look, but was unable to because there were no anamorphic lenses available that could focus close enough to the puppets.
Yeah, but what he came up with instead, like, I mean, he pretty much got there.
He got there, dude. It was so good. Also, speaking of which, there were over 100 sets built for the film. Dude, that's crazy. Number 13, household objects were used as props in order to, according to Matt and Trey, remind the audience the actual size of the puppets. A pair of nail clippers can be seen on the Team America's utility belt in the first scene in Cairo. In Cairo, a citizen is carrying a basket of goldfish snacks on his head, and a set of palm trees have leaves made out of dollar bills. So cool. Let's see. When the Film Actors Guild decides to go to North Korea, the members all shout "Kapla," which is Klingon for success.
It's Kerpla.
Is it Kerpla? It's Qapla is how it's spelled. So
yeah, but
that's
like
how it's pronounced.
You've watched Star Trek.
I know. I don't remember them saying that. It's been forever.
It's pronounced like, it's not exactly pronounced like that, but
Okay.
it sounds a lot like the way it's pronounced. It sounds like Kerpla.
Oh, Kerpla. Okay, yeah, I have heard that.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 15. Sean Penn was so insulted by the filmmaker's suggestion that there was no shame in not voting that he wrote an angry letter to Matt Stone and Trey Parker with the closing, in quotes, "a sincere F you, Sean Penn." It's like, Sean Penn, what a tool, man. Like, just proving the point of the movie even more.
Yeah, I know. All right.
All right. Continuing on, Matt Stone vowed never to make another film with partner Trey Parker. Such was the stresses and strains of working with him. The two worked together 17 hours a day, 7 days a week, up until 3 days before the film actually opened. I don't know if I believe that. They've always worked together, but on a film, I don't think they've done a film since then, I guess.
I don't know. They did
always
say
worked
that
together.
they did say that the production of this film was quite troubled. So maybe they ran into some difficulties that they just wouldn't have run into doing South Park together.
Also, South Park's not a movie.
Yeah.
You know, that they work on every day. So, yeah. All right. Next is Matt Stone was interviewed by Michael Moore for his film Bowling for Combine in 2002 because he grew up near the infamous school. So Michael Moore interviewed Matt Stone because he grew up near there. Let's see. However, Stone was very upset about the animated section of Moore's film, believing that he had intentionally left the impression that he and Trey Parker had made it. For that reason, the directors decided to portray Moore in an amusingly negative fashion. That's so good. Speaking of Michael Moore, the Michael Moore puppet was stuffed with ham before it was blown up.
Stuff with ham. Oh my God.
Yeah, because when it blew up, I was like, oh, that's kind of gross, but then it's ham.
That's funny. It's really funny too. Like when he gives his lines, he talks like he has food in his mouth.
Yes.
Which is really funny.
Yeah. All right. Due to a puppet sex scene, the movie was given an NC-17 rating by the MPAA. The scene was edited 9 times before they received the R rating they were shooting for. Trey later admitted that the scene was originally added to distract the MPAA from the rest of the film's subject matter.
Oh my God.
On Matt's urging, the scene was reinstated to the unrated DVD.
That's funny.
That's so good. By the way, in all my life, live action, animated, whatever, this is the most graphic sex scene I've ever seen, ever. In any film, any movie, anything. It's so wow.
Yeah, it's something else.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, the funny thing is like the way it's done, it's incredibly graphic.
Yeah.
But then when you take a step back and look at it, it's like it's basically like someone manipulating naked Barbie dolls.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
but they do it in such a way that it comes off so graphic.
Yeah. So fun. It's funny how like they were like it's NC-17 because of that. It's like it's not even real people.
Yeah.
What?
there's not even like really details.
No, there's no details at all.
They're just like naked Barbie dolls,
they're
basically.
Naked Barbie dolls.
But it was really funny just the way they do it.
Yeah,
it comes off so raunchy.
It's so yeah. Mark Shyman composed songs and a score for the movie. But the score was rejected by Paramount execs about 3.5 weeks before the movie was released. Harry Gregson Williams still was hired to rewrite the score and compose it at the 11th hour. Shyman's songs, however, still remain in the Film Initiative project.
Interesting.
All right, I was going to read what intelligence stands for, but it basically is a bunch of random words put together. Might as well. It stands for Integrated Network for Tactical Espionage Linked Lossless Interpretation of Geometric and Electronic Networked Cluster of Enemies.
Oh my God.
There's it. There's intelligence.
Speaking of intelligence, the
voice.
The voice for him was so funny.
So good. He's like, well, All right, last couple here. During the Alec Baldwin and Gary Johnston scene on stage at Kim Jong-il's palace, in some of the shots, the screens at either side of the stage show footage of the real Alec Baldwin in a tux and Trey Parker recording the voiceover. Interesting. I never caught that. Let's see. Trey Parker received a fan letter saying, this is really interesting. So Trey Parker received a fan letter saying that the sender loved the film and voted for it as best movie of the year. Many believe that the sender was claiming to have voted for the film in the Academy Award for Best Picture, although it's not unsubstantiated. Thank you. Unsubstantiated. The sender was Stephen Sondheim, who offered to work with Parker on a stage musical, which eventually led to the creation of Book of Mormon. Yeah.
Okay.
And then on the Instagram in 2021, Trey posted that and the letter that he got sent. So that's pretty interesting. Finally, Matt Stone and Trey Parker had to rewrite the script several times before they reached something that was doable with puppets. When questions about a possible sequel were raised, they said that there was no way they were ever going to work with puppets again.
Oh, man. That's funny.
And there we have it. Well, what a movie.
What a picture.
Dude, like I had no expectations going in. Like I knew about the Bill Pope thing. I knew about Kim Jong-il singing a song. That was about it. Like I knew it was the South Park guys. I was very pleasantly surprised. What an insanely raunchy but hilarious and amazing film.
Indeed.
So, yeah. Well, all right. Well, that's it, everybody. We'll see you next time on Snarp Fangle. Thank you for listening to yet another entry into the 2-film saga of the Snarp Fangle Podcast.
And happy birthday, America.
Happy birthday, America. America. Oh, and don't forget to Snarp Fangle on.
Bye-bye now.
I miss you more than Michael Bay missed the mark when he made Pearl Harbor. I miss you more than that movie missed the point. And that's an awful lot, girl. And now you've gone away. And all I'm trying to say is Pearl Harbor sucked, and I miss you. I need you like Ben Affleck needs acting school. He was terrible in that film. I need you like Cuba Gooding needed a bigger part. He's way better than Ben Affleck, and now all I can think about is your smile and that shitty movie too. Pearl Harbor sucked, and I miss you. Pearl Harbor sucked, just a little bit more than I miss